A very warm greetings to all our viewers. I'm bringing this video today when it is very tough time for the world and very tough time for our portfolios. और अब हमें समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, कहीं हम सुन रहे हैं कि यू शुड इंक्रीज योर इक्विटी एलोकेशन, कोई कह रहा है कि अभी वेट करो, निफ्टी 20, 25, 30% और भी गिर सकता है. सो द टाइम्स आर वेरी अनसर्टेन and we are spending a lot of time on watching different news channels, trying to understand and trying to predict what's happening. One of the index which I think we should keep on our watch is called OVX. तो आज तक मैंने बहुत बार आपसे विक्स एंड आईवी के बारे में बात की. आप अगर मुझे फॉलो करते हैं ट्विटर पे या यूट्यूब पे तो आपने देखा होगा कि मैं वोलेटिलिटी बेस्ड ट्रेडर हूँ. काफी ध्यान देता हूँ आईवी पे, काफी ध्यान देता हूँ विक्स पे अपने ट्रेडिंग में. आज मैं आपको वो बताने जा रहा हूं जो कि शायद इंडियन फाइनेंशियल एजुकेशन में शायद आज तक किसी ने इसके बारे में बात नहीं किया है. और राइट रीजन है, इसलिए बात नहीं करते हैं क्योंकि नॉर्मल मार्केट कंडीशन में ये उतना इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं होता है. पर आज की कंडीशन में जबकि चारों तरफ हाहाकार मचा हुआ है, पर्टिकुलरली ऑयल शॉक के चलते, ऑयल प्राइस बढ़ रहा है उसके चलते, तो ये इंडेक्स जो जिसके बारे में मैं बात करने जा रहा हूं, that becomes very important and that index is called OVX. तो क्विकली चलते हैं और देखते हैं ये OVX है क्या. So OVX at a very simple level, if I want to tell you, think of it as a VIX of the oil market. इक्विटी मार्केट के लिए हम VIX देखते हैं, ऑयल मार्केट के लिए हम OVX देखते हैं. इट इज कंप्यूटेड बाय CBOE. हमें पता है शिकागो बोर्ड ऑफ ऑप्शंस एक्सचेंज जो कि VIX भी मेंटेन करता है, US S&P VIX, नॉट इंडिया निफ्टी VIX. तो वही कंप्यूट करते हैं. दे यूज द ऑप्शंस ऑफ US ऑयल ETF, US क्रूड ऑयल ETF to compute this value. And this is the IV for the next 30 days. That's what it tells कि oil price की जो implied volatility है वो अगले 30 दिनों तक क्या रहेगी. Now, how do we interpret the levels? So normally it is between 20 to 40, 20 to 30. That is the calm market. If it is 30 to 70, then you know that the stress is building, particularly when it goes above 50. When the stress is building in the system, there is uncertainty related to the oil price. Once it reaches above 70, and if it is 70 to 100, then we are definitely from a perspective of oil price in a crisis mode. And it is real panic when it goes over 100. So if you check this OVX latest closing, it is at 119.2, which clearly signifies that we are in a panic mode. Now, how do we trade it, how to interpret it, and some of the uniqueness about it? Let's just look at those aspects. So India के लिए, why is it important? Obviously, goes without saying, 85% plus हम oil import करते हैं, and when we are dependent on oil import, then obviously the oil market and the volatility in the pricing matters a lot because it impacts our inflation, current account deficit, our currency, which is INR against USD and other currencies, and also the interest rates. And चीज क्या होती है कि जो volatility of the oil price, which is OVX, is more important than the actual oil price. और मैं आपको दिखाऊंगा चार्ट पे कि एक पॉइंट के बाद क्या होता है, जब वोलेटिलिटी गिरने लगती है तो सारी इंडस्ट्रीज और द मार्केट्स दे स्टार्ट फैक्टरिंग द हायर ऑयल प्राइस. तो ऑयल प्राइस हाई है, ऑब्वियसली दैट विल हैव नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट, पर वोलेटिलिटी ज्यादा है, उसका असर इक्विटी पे और भी ज्यादा पड़ता है. दिस पॉइंट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. तो हम देखते हैं कि हिस्ट्री में क्या हुआ. तो मैं आपको चार चीजें दिखाना चाहूंगा चार्ट पे. एक तो ग्लोबल फाइनेंशियल क्राइसिस थी 2008 की. उसके बाद अरब स्प्रिंग जो ट्यूनिसिया से शुरू हुई थी, जहां की काफी प्रोटेस्ट हुए थे ऑल ओवर द मिडिल ईस्ट एंड द अरेबियन कंट्रीज, एंड देयर वाज इम्पैक्ट ऑन द ऑयल. तो उस समय क्या हुआ था, 2020 कोविड में क्या हुआ था, उसके बाद रशिया यूक्रेन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट में क्या हुआ था, और उससे हम कोशिश करेंगे ये देखने की कि अब हमें क्या करना है आज के सिचुएशन में. इफ यू सी द चार्ट, on the top panel I have Nifty 50 and in the bottom I have the OVX, right? अब पहले मैं आपको 2008 में ले चलता हूं. आप देखिए ये जब मार्केट गिर रहा था तो the level was around 50, and then when it started peaking, that is the time, on 15 December 2008, that week it touched a high of 103. So it went above 100. And that is the time when you see even Nifty at making a low below 3000 उस जमाने में 2008 की हम बात कर रहे हैं. So that was a significant fall. And then you see this consolidating and then coming down, and you see that Nifty gradually going up. So that was in 2008. So clearly, there was a peak, but the market started going up only when the OVX started falling. Okay. So that was the situation in 2008. And the peak was 103. That is where we touched. Now, if we look at 2011, let's quickly look at it, the situation in 2011. Okay. Just bear with me for a second. Okay. So if you see 2011, this is August 2011, you see this big bar here where the high was 70. So this is where it touched 70. And then we see the market consolidating, the Nifty basically, it started consolidating, right? And when it started going down, we see some semblance of stability coming back to the markets. So it was not as high as what we are seeing today or what it was in the GFC, but it still touched above 70 and the markets reacted. That was the 2011 Arab Spring. Now let's look at what happened in 2020 April, right? So that was, or March, around COVID time. Just one second. Okay. So let's look at COVID. Now, COVID, what we see is in the April, right? Of course, as you can see from the chart, there was a sudden spike that started happening on the week of 9th of March. And of course, Nifty was falling. And then we see it remained elevated till 27th week of 27th April. Though Nifty started consolidating during the time, the real uptake on Nifty started happening only when there was a decline in OVX post that week of 27th April. So starting 4th May 2020, when this OVX started falling, you see that there is a consolidation and then gradually it went up as the OVX stabilized. So that happened in 2020. Now, finally, I will quickly show 2022, the Ukraine-Russia war. Let's see what happened during that time. Okay. So if you see in 2022, okay, so 2020, yeah. So 21, just one second. Yeah. This is 22. Now, what we see here in November, the OVX went up. Okay. Then there was a consolidation phase. It actually came back to the range, its normal range. Then again in February 2022, the end of February and the first week of March, these 2 weeks, there was a spike in OVX. And that is the time when we came down. After that, this correlation is not as strong as the previous one, which I was showing you during the Ukraine war. So market went into a consolidation phase. And then it took a while before the equity markets, which is Nifty example, which I'm giving, started going up, even though the OVX started coming back to the normal range. So that is what happened in Ukraine. Now, where are we right now? Right now, if you look at it, we see a sudden jump, right? We see a jump from, if you look at the breakout, that is happening from the 2nd March. And you look at this candle, OVX candle 2nd March, then you look at the OVX candle of the week, which just ended 9th March, and we see an upward trajectory. Okay. We clearly see an upward trajectory. Now, we have to see this cooling off before the risk of trade is, people again get on to the risk on trade. So, बहुत important है हमारे लिए. I will make one more video in a day or two where I'll talk about how and what is the methodology that you should be following to basically increase your equity allocation rather than jumping based on the news. And one of the important element is, of course, OVX. Uh, but there are other elements that we need to consider. OVX is just one of them. If we see, okay, right. So how do we practically use in the current scenario? जो पहले हुआ वो तो हुआ. अभी क्या करना है? So latest close of OVX is very high. It is 119.2. So what we need to see is, uh, first thing is that OVX should start declining. And even if the actual oil price remains elevated, that's okay. If the OVX started declining, that means that market has started factoring higher oil price, and then things can creep back to normal. If you are a conservative trader, I will advise that you wait for OVX to fall below 70. So it should be declining from where we are below 70, then you can increase. So this is something new, which I hope you have learned. Keep an eye on this. And if you think it was useful, please don't miss subscribing to my channel. Uh, it is Dheeraj Sinha 2001 on YouTube, and on X, I am little more active. It is at Dheeraj Sinha. Thank you so much.